Thank you, and I know people are still coming in, and we've got our team, our staff that's helping seat everyone, but we want to go ahead and get started. So I know we're full all the way up to the top with our students. So I am truly elated with all of you, to be here with all of you today during our regular meeting of our Board of Trustees. I hope you all have enjoyed our featured performance tonight, provided by the Decatur High School Saxophone Quartet. Let's give these talented students a big round of applause. My name is Lupita Hinojosa, and I am the super proud superintendent here at Spring ISD. And tonight is a very special night, as this school year is now drawing closer and closer to begin. We have gathered together this evening to honor the best and the brightest that Spring ISD has to offer. Some of you may know this, some of you may not, but the May board meeting here in Spring ISD historically, traditionally, has been reserved to honor our students, to honor and celebrate their work. And so, this is our second year back since COVID. Remember, during COVID, we weren't gathering together. And so, we are back, and we are back stronger than ever. Mi nombre es Lupita Hinojosa y yo soy la super orgullosa superintendente aquí en Spring ISD. Y es un orgullo estar aquí con ustedes. Es nuestra junta de mayo de la mesa directiva y los pueden ver aquí. Tradicionalmente nosotros hemos reservado la junta de mayo para celebrar a nuestros estudiantes. Entonces hoy van a escuchar de nuestros estudiantes, de ellos que han ganado distinciones, ya sea a nivel de la región, estatal y de la nación. También quiero que le demos un aplauso a la escuela, a los jóvenes que estuvieron aquí tocando para empezar nuestro programa. Un aplauso para los jóvenes de Decatur High School. Let's celebrate. And we want to thank, as this is our first time here at Decatur High School, we traditionally have been at Bamel Middle School, at the School for International Studies at Bamel. But this is our first time here at Decatur High School, and we want to thank our principal here, Mr. Al Reynolds, and his entire staff for opening their doors and helping us celebrate tonight. Our appreciation also goes to all the families who are there every step of the way to encourage and support and maintain our students' focus on finishing their goals and continuing their education. Some of those students present tonight are about to embark on their next chapter of their lives as they graduate from high school. And so tonight we celebrate them and their accomplishments. Let's give all the students that will be celebrated tonight a round of applause. Entonces queremos darle las gracias a todas las familias que están aquí por el apoyo que le han dado, que le han brindado a sus hijos, a nuestros estudiantes, que se queden enfocados en la meta. Hoy vamos a reconocer estudiantes de la primaria, secundaria y preparatoria, pero más importante, vamos a reconocer unos estudiantes que se están graduando de la preparatoria, de high school. Entonces estamos muy orgullosos de ellos. And at this time, it is my absolute pleasure to welcome our Board of Trustees President, Ms. Justine Durant, to officially open tonight's meeting. Nuestra presidenta de la mesa directiva es Ms. Durant y va a abrir la junta. Gracias. welcome. I think I speak for the entire Board of Trustees when I say that the May board meeting is one of the highlights of the year. We have outstanding students in Spring ISD, and it is truly a pleasure and an honor to be able to recognize their hard work and accomplishments at this special setting. You'll see scholar athletes, musicians, and others walk this stage tonight. They provide us all with inspiration and motivation to always strive for excellence. I want to recognize our parents and our families joining us in the audience. You deserve recognition as well, because we all know that you're working in partnership with the schools by supporting and encouraging your students to achieve. Thank you. Let me give all of our parents and family members this evening a round of applause. Before we continue, let me officially open the meeting. I don't have my gavel here. This regular board meeting of the Spring ISD Board of Trustees is officially called to order on Tuesday, May 9th, 2023, and the time is now 7:13 p.m. Trustees present tonight are our Vice President, Winfred Adams, Assistant Secretary, Rhonda Newhouse, Board Member, Carmen Correa, Dr. Deborah Jensen, and Natasha McDaniels, and of course myself, Justine Durant. I would like to ask everyone to turn off and silence your cell phones or any electronic devices. I'll pause a minute so you can do that. Thank you. Tonight's presentation of colors will be led by the Duquesne Wildcats, NJROTC Battalion. The pledges will be led by Cadet Commander Andrea Barrera, who has recently accepted an appointment to the United States Military Academy Preparatory School at West Point. The Coast Guard Commander carrying the U.S. flag is Cadet Commander Daisy Alcusser. Carrying the Texas flag is Cadet Master Chief Petty Officer Gabriela Lopez. Our left rifle is Cadet Petty Officer 3rd Class Christopher Zentino. Right rifle is Cadet Lieutenant Angelito Lazar. The Duquesne Wildcat NJROTC Battalion is led by Chief Petty Officer Victor Allen and Chief Petty Officer Robert Dunn. At this time, will everyone rise for the presentation of colors?
Color board. Attention. Carry. Colors. Ready. Cut. Right. Face. Forward. March. Free! The colors. And salute. Ready, two, and more, face, forward, march. Up, upward, face, right, face, forward, march.
At this time, I'd ask that we have a moment of silence to be observed in your own way. Thank you. You may be seated. So at this time, I'd like to invite our Board of Trustees and our Superintendent of Schools up on the stage, as well as our Chief of Communication, Shane Stuhart, who will welcome our student MCs and tell us how we are going to proceed with honoring the achievements of all of our students here tonight.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here tonight. And thank you to Dr. Hinojosa and President Durant for opening our program this evening. I have the honor and privilege of welcoming our student MCs tonight, as well as sharing more about our Point of Pride and Spotlight Award programs. For those of you who may not be familiar with the Points of Pride program, these recognitions are given for achievements beyond the local levels, including high-level statewide awards and honors, as well as national-level awards earned by district students, staff members, and Spring ISD departments. In addition to Points of Pride, the board also gives Spotlight Awards to help highlight some of the many amazing things going on around the district, including awards for students honored at the local or regional level. We're excited to have some of those exceptional students with us here tonight as well, to be recognized and to receive a special Spotlight Award certificate. As we have a lot of awards to share with you tonight, we do ask that all parents, family, and friends of the student honorees please stay seated throughout the program, and please wait until the end of the event to meet your students back in the foyer. All of our students will be proceeding to the gym next door to receive their awards after crossing the stage. After that point, they will be coming back in here to the auditorium to be seated until the program concludes. After the ceremony concludes, there will be a recess to the meeting, and we'll have a reception and opportunity for photos back in the foyer. So please join us for some refreshments and fellowship during the break before our regular board meeting continues. Because this event is about students for students, I now want to invite our two MCs from Westfield High School to the podium to introduce themselves and to kick off tonight's recognitions.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kemar Taylor, and I am super proud to be here with all of you tonight, alongside my co-MC, Miss Mariah Simon. Now, I am a senior at Westfield High School, where I have had the honor in participating in theater with Mariah under the direction of Miss Monet Salone. Miss Salone, can you please stand so we can recognize you? So this year, Ms. Salone has directed us all the way to regionals. And I think I can say that it has been quite an epic journey, right?
Yes.
And I can say also on behalf of me and my castmates that this is something that we will never, ever forget. I can't express just how much theater has impacted my life. It has become one of my greatest inspirations and has deeply affected who I am and the way I express myself. I can finally say that I am now more confident than ever before. I'm excited to see where the future has in store for me as I plan for college. And I can also say that theater will always be a part of my life. Now enough about me. Please allow me to introduce my fellow MC and fellow Mustang, Mariah Simon.
Thank you, Kimar, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. My name is Mariah Simon, and I'm a proud class of 2024, a junior at Westfield High School. You know, Kimar and I go way back.
Way back.
Yes, way back, all the way back to Wells Middle School, where we both decided to follow the careers to Westfield High School, which has led us here tonight to share these incredible student recognitions with you. You know, I'm also extremely proud to speak before you tonight. And just like Kimar, theater is what drew me to Westfield. You know, there were so many paths that I could have chosen, but Westfield is by far the best decision I could have made. Thanks to the dedicated educators like Miss Salone and great leaders like Principal Hunter. Along with theater, I have participated in the Westfield Varsity Band, and I have experienced so much this year with just a year left. I feel the support and investment my teachers have made in me is going to carry me on to a successful college career. And yes, theater will be a big part of that decision. Alongside, I am so glad to see this future that will be so bright for us. It's filled with hope and promise. We all just need to always remember the driving forces that brought us to this point, and what has paid forward to every opportunity that we have. Now, on that note, we are going to begin the award portion of this evening. As it arrives. Terrence Harris, Spring High School, Texas Music Educators Association 2023 All-State Jazz Ensemble, drum set player. Spring High School, Texas Music Educators Association 2023 All-State Percussion Ensemble. Jacoby Lindsay, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Joseph Haley, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Deanna Blackchild, Spring High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Girls Basketball Team member. Alana Archie, Spring High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academics All-State Volleyball Team member. Gina Edwards, Spring High School, Texas Music Educators Association 2023 All-State Triple Choir. Aiden Percy, Spring High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Football Team member. AJ Williams, Spring High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Football Team member. Kevin Medley, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. RJ Walker, Spring High School, Winter Guard National Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble member, who has also published the second book in the series, The Legend Book. John Luca Arana, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Connor Driscoll, Spring High School, Winter International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Luke Myers, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Frida Vasquez, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Daniel Beloza, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Andy Lynn, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Layla Lopez, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Nestle Aurora Rosses, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Frida Olive, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Sasha Medina, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Angel Adrian Rios, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Alexis Johnson, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Darius Johnson, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Ian Daniel Zamora, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Brandon Henson, Lake Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Henry Jose Zavala, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Gabriel Lopez, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Sean McKinnon, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Taylor Nicole Black, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Travis Parker, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Vanessa Gutierrez, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Raina Bullock, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Javarian Jackson, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Ensemble. Zanaya Willett, Spring High School International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Sabian Garza, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Kaya Clifton, Spring High School International Thespian Festival Qualifier for Duet Acting. Jade Makisha, Spring High School International Thespian Festival Qualifier for Duet Acting. Gloria Jackson, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Brandon Love, Spring High School Texas Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association, second team All-State recipient. William Wood, Spring High School Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Swim Team member, Texas Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association, second team All-State and multiple prize winner at the UIL Swimming State Meet. Isaac Torres, Spring High School Texas Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association, second team All-State recipient. Stephen Hansen, Spring High School Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Swim Team and Texas Interscholastic Swim Coaches Association, second team All-State. James Christopher Donnell Mandes, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Competition Qualifying Ensemble. Sarah McQuaid, Spring High School Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Competition Qualifying Ensemble. Shariah Mondre, Spring High School Educational Research Association National Qualifier. Nico Bright Davis, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Competition Qualifying Ensemble. Zoe Ukabasi, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Chastity George, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Lay Wiley, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Vanessa Valderas, Spring High School, Farrington World Language Contest, first place winner in the Spanish 3 division. Asia Harper, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Damaris Molina, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Jada Myers, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Caitlin Porter, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Anaja Mary, Spring High School, Winter Guard International Regional Winner and World Championship Qualifying Ensemble. Ashley Foster Smith, Spring High School International Thespian Festival Qualifier for solo musical performance. Leonora, Spring High School International Thespian Festival Qualifier, National Speech and Debate Tournament Qualifier, UIL Academic and Theatrical State Qualifier, and National Speech and Debate Association Academics All-American Students of Excellence. Lauren Dennis, Spring High School National Speech and Debate Tournament Qualifier for Duo Interpretation. Taylor Williams L., Spring High School International Thespian Festival Qualifier for Solo Acting. Andrea Guerrero, Decaney High School, Appointment to the United States Military Academy Preparatory School of West Point. Decaney High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, Academic All-State Volleyball and Team Member. Mackenzie Lawrence, Decaney High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, Academic All-State Volleyball Team Member. Shantini Moulton, Decaney High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, Academic All-State Volleyball Team Member. Troy McAfee, Decaney High School, Texas Music Educators Association, 2023 All-State Concert Band Tuba Player. Decaney High School, UIL State Instrumental Chamber Music Competition Bronze Medal winner. Angel Sanchez, Decaney High School, UIL Instrumental Chamber Music Competition Bronze Medal winner. Joshua Allen, Decaney High School, UIL Instrumental Chamber Music Competition Bronze Medal winner. Tanya Henry, Decaney High School, UIL State Instrumental Chamber Music Competition Bronze Medal winner. Jose Gregorio Medrano, Decaney High School, American Educational Research Association National Qualifier. Michael Raynaud, Decaney High School National Individual Event Tournament of Champions Qualifiers in Informative Speaking. Derek Moore, Decaney High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-Boys Basketball Team member. Michael Brindley, Spring High School, Texas High Schools Coaches Association Academic All-State Boys Basketball Team member. Galen Victor, Decaney High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-Boys Basketball Team member. Darian Flores, Decaney High School National Individual Event Tournament of Champions Qualifiers in Informative Speaking. Viola Hernandez, Decaney High School National Individual Event Tournament of Champion Qualifiers in Informative Speaking. Ty Morris, Decaney High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Football Team member. Kenny Lee, Spring Early College Academy Science Olympic Olympiad State Qualifying Team. Amy Gutierrez, Spring Early College Academy's Science Olympiad State Qualifying Team. Mauricio Gonzalez, Spring Early College Academy Science Olympiad State Qualifying Team. Lam Pham, Spring Early College Academy Science Olympiad State Qualifying Team. Henry Tejada, Spring Early College Academy Science Olympiad State Qualifying Team. Christ Ismael Cohen, Spring Early College Academy Science Olympiad State Qualifying Team. Philip Gonzalez, Spring Early College Academy Science Olympiad State Qualifying Team. Abiel Osama, Spring Early College Academy developed a proposal to implement chess into Spring ISD's curriculum to support students' achievements in math and science. Alejandra Hernandez, Spring Leadership Academy, Odyssey of the Mind State Competition Qualifier and State Participant. Kinsey Ginther, Spring Leadership Academy, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Sophia Salgado, Spring Leadership Academy, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Vidal Salgado, Spring Leadership Academy, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Partnership. Emma Stavner, Spring Leadership Academy, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Kimberly Washington, Spring Leadership Academy, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Victoria O'Neill, Twin Creeks Middle School, National Gold Key winner in the 2023 Scholarship Arts and Writing Awards, a Pearl Fisher Art Museum 2023 Student Art Contest honorable mention. Taylor Elmore, Twin Creeks Middle School, Platinum Medal winner in the Texas Art Education Association Junior Visual Arts Scholastic Event. Jonathan Ford, Twin Creeks Middle School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Darren Thomas, Roberson Middle School, Texas Technology Students Association State Qualifier for Mechanical Engineering. Amos Gonzalez, Roberson Middle School, Texas Technology Students Association State Qualifier for Mechanical Engineering. Jose Galvin, Roberson Middle School, Texas Technology Students Association State Qualifier for Technical Engineering. Damian Raymond, Roberson Middle School, Texas Technology Students Association State Qualifier for Coding. Cordelia Davis, Roberson Middle School, Texas Technology Students Association State Qualifier for Coding. Brooklyn Reynolds, DeWitt Middle School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Jasmine Tackett, DeWitt Middle School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Christopher Rodriguez, DeWitt Middle School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. DeAndre, DeWitt Middle School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Cameron Bigelow, DeWitt Middle School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Miranda Spencer, DeWitt Middle School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Christian Foster, Sellers Elementary School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Alyssa Taylor, Sailors Elementary School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Anaya Jackson, Sailor Elementary School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Savannah Supanova, Sailors Elementary School, Odyssey of Mind State Competition Qualifier and Team Participant. Thomas Stein, Carl Winchie Senior High School received an appointment to the United States Air Force Academy. Esteban Prasad, Carl Winchie Senior High School, American Officers Association National Qualifier. John Coleman's Choir, Carl Vinci Senior High School Skills USA Web Design Competition first place, state winner, and national qualifier. Carl Vinci Senior High School Skills USA Web Design Competition first place, state winner, and national qualifier. Christy Mary Trencourt, Carl Vinci Senior High School Skills USA Oil and Gas Career Pathways showcase first place, state winner, and national qualifier. Ejime Mkaneme, Carl Vinci Senior High School Skills USA Web Design Competition second place, state winner. Ariana Smith, Carl Vinci Senior High School Skills USA Web Design Competition second place, state winner. Carl Vinci Senior High School ranked first place in the 100-meter hurdles for UIL district, area, and regional, and nationally ranked in the top 20. Katia Gonzalez, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Girls Soccer Team member. France Joseph, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Boys Soccer Team member. Noah Escobar, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Boys Soccer Team member. Dylan Tran, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Boys Soccer Team member. Jose Benitez, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Cross Country and Boys Soccer Team member. Ashley Lorena Sanchez, Westfield High School, American Educational Research Association National Qualifier. Lindsay Aradaga, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association Academic All-State Swim Team member. Himna Nieto, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team and first place overall officer award at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Teams Championship. Allison Burnett, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Competition. Kate Rodriguez, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Alondra Pereira, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Marvin, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Championship. Brianna Moreno Hernandez, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Nyla Mensa, Westfield High School, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team, first place overall officers award, and third place solo finalist at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Kennedy Reynolds, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Lori Becker, Westfield High School, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Jonah Ritter, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Amaya Wells, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Brooklyn Wilson, Westfield High School, home campus Winchie, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Laura Camilla, Westfield High School, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Shelby Johnson, Westfield High School, Westfield area, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Brianna Elfrey, Westfield High School, Westfield area, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Rachel Wong, Westfield High School, Westfield area, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Isabella Metz, Westfield High School, Westfield area, first place overall team at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Joey Rootson, Westfield High School. Westfield Lariat, first place overall team and first place overall officers, awards at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Casey Watson, Westfield High School, Westfield Lariat, first place overall team and first place overall officers award at the Dance Line USA National Dance and Drill Team Championship. Tori Myers, Westfield High School National Speech and Debate Tournament qualifier for duo interpretation. Westfield High School National Speech and Debate Tournament qualifier for duo interpretation. Danny Johnson, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, academic all-state football team member. Eric Guzman, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, academic all-state football team member. Patrick O'Shea, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, academic all-state football team member. Dion White, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, academic all-state football team member. Julian Ledoux, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, academic all-state football team member. Terrell Moore, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, academic all-state football team member. Shazan Murray, Westfield High School, Texas High School Coaches Association, academic all-state football team member. Okay.
That's not all, but wow, I am feeling really inspired with all these achievements here tonight. But of course, as Mariah mentioned, none of these awards would be possible without the support of our friends, family, and most of all, our teachers. Can we please stand to recognize our supporters?
You may be seated. Now that's right, and before we mark our toast tonight, I'd like to welcome our fellow Westfield High School theater students and join them to be recognized for achievements in UIL One Act Play and as Texas Thespian National Qualifiers.
All right. Frederick Roberts.
Westfield High School International Thespian Festival Qualifier for Duet Acting. Azaria Brown, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier and Best Tech Crew Award. Carissa Williams, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier and Individual Acting Award. Angela Poole, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier and Best Tech Crew Award. Emmanuel Poole, Westfield High School One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier, Individual Acting Award, and International Thespian Festival Qualifier for Monologue. Tanner Coleman Clark, Westfield High School One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier, Best Tech Crew Award, and International Thespian Festival Qualifier for Duet Acting. Melanie Menendez, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier, UIL Acting Awards, International Thespian Festival Qualifier for Duet Acting. Destiny Lewis, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier and Best Tech Crew Award. Marina Rodriguez, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier and Best Tech Crew Award. Julissa Cruz, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier and Best Tech Crew Award. Arceli Salam, Westfield High School UIL One Act Play Contest Regional Qualifier Best Textual Board. Mariah Simon and Kimar Taylor.
Great job, Kimar and Mariah. You two did a wonderful job as our MCs this evening, didn't they? Let's give them another round. Again, I want to thank everyone who came out this evening. And now I'd like to call for a short break from our official board meeting so we can celebrate with a special reception that'll be in the foyer. Parents, extended family, friends are welcome to join us for punch and cookies right outside in the foyer. And we're adjourned a temporary break at 7:53 p.m. Good evening. We will now reconvene a regular board meeting this evening. The time is now 8:10 p.m. A little bit of an echo. Our next item is the superintendent's remarks. So at this time, I'd like to recognize our superintendent of schools, Dr. Lapita Hinojosa.
Thank you, Ms. Durant. So, senior leadership team and our participants that are here, as well as those that are online, excited to have had this student recognition. I don't know about you all, but I had chills as each one of the students came by and we read out their recognitions. It was amazing. And that's why, every time I say I'm the super proud superintendent, we have amazing students here in Spring ISD. And I want to say also some amazing board members. So this past week was our Teacher Appreciation Week. Remember, we talked about the official National Teacher Appreciation Week. And then here in Texas, we extended it for one more week due to testing. And so we are super excited to celebrate our teachers. And as I said, in fact, our super proud board members have a special presentation that we are unveiling tonight. And then, of course, we're going to share with all of our teachers. And so I'd like for everyone to step and go to the side, kind of the railings where we have some stools, so that we can bring this screen down and share with you the surprise that our board members have for our teachers.
That's all, you got it.
Patient, kind, resilient, loving, trustworthy, an advocate for our children. Thank you so much, teachers, for all that you do for our kids in the Spring Independent School District.
You are the core, the heart, the center of what our school district is about. We collect taxes, drive buses, clean buildings, everything so that you can do what you do. I really, really appreciate what you do for our children from early childhood to young adult age.
Spring ISD teachers, you are simply the best, better than all the rest. I want you to know that we support you and appreciate you for all of your work and service to our students.
I honor you as the skilled professionals that you are, and thank you for all of the love, the time, and the effort seen and unseen. Happy Teacher Appreciation Week.
I just want to personally thank you. Teachers do so much more than just teach.
You have the ability to impact the trajectory of a student's lives and the lives of their families. I want you to know that you are heard, you are respected, and you are appreciated here in this district.
I want to extend gratitude and appreciation to all of our teachers across the district for what you do in service of our children. And this year, I want to also extend some gratitude to the teachers that impacted my life, and I wanted to name them. It would be Miss Osborne, Miss Seymour, Mr. Dansky, Mr. Weaver, Miss Peixoto, Miss Ravenscroft, and finally, Miss Urban. Thank you for all that you do for our children.
You all make an impact on our future doctors, lawyers, authors, and that list could go on and on and on. Behind every successful person is a good teacher. We appreciate you. We value you. Your sacrifices don't go unnoticed, and happy Teachers Appreciation Week.
What did you think about that video? Wasn't that amazing? Yes, so definitely I want to thank our super proud board members for their continued support of our teachers and the value that they place on their service. And this week, as you know, we are capping off 2 weeks of teacher appreciation with our employee recognition banquet on Friday, May 12th at the Hilton North Houston. At this event, we will name our elementary. I know everybody. We have one of the nominees in the audience, and that's why they're all nervous. So we will name one elementary and one secondary teacher of the year, as well as we will recognize other staff members and all the accolades and provide all the accolades that they deserve. We will be recognizing our staff members receiving service pins and our retiring members of Spring ISD. So we have some fun and exciting surprises in store. So be sure that you check out our social media. Stay tuned for this event on Friday evening. I also want to talk a little bit about that last week we celebrated actually the National Day of Prayer. I had the pleasure of attending our annual prayer breakfast held with our Ministerial Alliance, which was held specifically on the National Day of Prayer at NAM. I'd like to thank our leaders from all the different denominations for joining together to pray for our schools and for keeping our students, staff, and families in their constant prayers. I also just received notice, I was sharing with a couple of people that I just signed off on a trip to Notre Dame for the Dekaney High School Sax Quartet. And I really didn't know very much about it, but I was talking to the band director. So let me tell you, our Dekaney High School Saxophone Quartet, and I'll tell you, we first really recognized them almost 1.5 years ago at the meet and greet that was held. And they've been playing local, state, competing everywhere. They have been invited to participate in the Fish-Off National Chamber Competition at the University of Notre Dame. And this is the most prestigious chamber competition in the United States. And that's our Dekaney students. Those are the students that we serve every single day. And so, we always, laugh and giggle when I say I'm the super proud superintendent, but who can't help but be super proud when we have these amazing students here? And so, we are at the end, 2.5 weeks left of school. And so this is the final stretch for us. Soon we're going to be hitting the last day of school. I know it's going to be really hard, especially as we say goodbye to our students and close off the year. And most importantly, as we get ready for graduations in 2.5 weeks. So, keep supporting our students, keep celebrating our students. I know at our campuses, we will be having lots of graduation and recognition celebrations. So keep supporting our students as they enter a new phase in their lives. And so with that, I'd like to thank everyone for their support and constant support of Spring ISD. And with that, I conclude my announcements. Mr. Ant, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa. I'd also like to recognize that Trustee Kelly P. Hodges is working out of town this week, but she has joined us on the Zoom call. So welcome out there, Trustee Hodges. We'll now continue tonight's agenda. Our next item is I'd like to ask if any board members have anything they would like to share with the community this evening.
Yes, President Durant. I had the opportunity to see a beginning and an ending. What I mean by that is in the morning, I had an opportunity to go to Lone Star College at Fallbrook and see our freshmen, our beginning educating students who signed an educator commitment to go into education. And then 2 days later, I had an opportunity to see the seniors sign their commitment to return to Spring with a contract from us to be an educator after completing their college education. So from the freshmen to the seniors, our career pathway in education is going great for our students. We have some outstanding students to look forward to going into education in the future. So hats off to the education career pathway.
I have a couple of items that I wanted to mention. I had the opportunity a few nights ago to attend the Education Foundation's Outstanding Alumni Banquet. And these were graduates of our system, many of them my contemporaries. So there was a lot of 80s nostalgia on that night. But the Education Foundation brought them back, held a fundraiser for upcoming graduates, and celebrated the outstanding work of alumni in the community. So I wanted to shout that out. I really appreciated that. I understand it was the second annual of this event, and it's really worth going to and supporting the Education Foundation on. I also want to put a plug in for the Vine Mentoring Program. I've been mentoring a young person at Spring High School for since January. It's a really rewarding way to serve. If you have an hour out of your week, once a week, to go out and mentor a young person in the district and give that support to our teachers and counselors in our system. So thank you for that.
I just wanted to mention that this is an amazing time of year in Spring ISD. We are now getting invitations that go neck to neck and back to back and sometimes conflict. And I wish I could be 2 or 3 places at once. But it is just such an amazing season to recognize what our students have done and what they hope to do. So, a wonderful time of year.
Yes, it is. We had some fantastic events that occurred in the previous month. We celebrated the Spring ISD Buyer Luncheon for Tri Club. And Dr. Hinojosa, how much did we do this year?
I knew you were going to ask, and I know our CFO's here. You know, I always like to up it a little bit. It was over $20,000.
Over $20,000.
Yes, went straight to our students.
Straight to our students for scholarships. This is the first time I've missed that event. The board was actually traveling, so that was fantastic. We also had our Boys Summit that I heard was fantastic. They wouldn't let the ladies in to the Boys Summit. And the CTE recognition for our alumni, to sit there and recognize a dozen of our alumni, to see the fantastic impact they've made in the community, just makes you feel so proud. And it also solidifies the work that we do. They say we don't get paid, but our rewards are far beyond monetary. And in addition to that, we actually had the GT Expo, which I understand had unprecedented attendance. And so I'm really proud of the great things that are happening. I'm going to tell my board members to buckle up because we've got graduations, Salvals dinners, lots of things happening before we conclude the end of the school year. So I just want to thank everyone for all of your support and continuing to participate in the #1 asset in this country, which is our scholars, right? Okay, so our next item on the agenda is agenda participation, and this item allows members of the public an opportunity to speak on any agenda topics before they're considered by the board. So, Mr. Binkley, do we have anyone signed up for agenda participation?
No, not for agenda participation.
Thank you. Then our next item is public participation. Do we have anyone registered for public participation?
Yes, Madam President, we have 3 speakers tonight for public participation. Before I invite our first speaker to the podium, I do have a short paragraph to read. The board invites interested citizens to address the board on any subject that they desire other than allegations concerning the character or capability of any board member, staff member, citizen, or student of the district. The board provides an opportunity on the agenda for citizens to address the board, and we welcome your participation. The board will listen and will not interrupt unless the person addressing the board infringes on the guidelines as stated previously or exceeds the time limit authorized for the presentation. In this case, each of you will have 3 minutes to present. Mr. Sheffer will keep time, which will be displayed on the computer that's up there at the microphone. According to law, the board may not take action on any item that is not on the agenda. The board will not debate nor respond to any question during the meeting in order to research the question thoroughly before replying. The board will seriously consider the matter brought to its attention and respond appropriately. Also, according to law, it is a criminal offense for a person to obstruct, prevent, interfere with, or disrupt a lawfully called meeting through physical action or verbal utterance. Citizens are requested to supplement any oral address to the board with a written summary of their presentation and any recommendations they may wish to suggest. Thank you for your concern regarding our school district, and we will hear you now. Our first speaker tonight is Patrick Fairbanks.
Good evening. My name is Patrick Fairbanks. I'm a U.S. history teacher at Westfield High School and AFT member. I wanted to address the attack against our assistant principal that occurred at Westfield 2 weeks ago from an on-campus perspective. First, I want to echo the brave words of my colleague who spoke anonymously to news outlets the day of the attack. Although I don't know who that anonymous speaker was, her entire statement is spot on. She said, in part, faculty don't feel safe. If the parents knew how unsafe the inside of the school is, they would be upset. For context, this year alone, my first year teaching, I have personally worked crowd control for 2 major fights. One happened directly outside my classroom door, which left splashes of blood in the hallway that my students had to step over to get into my room. Fights at Westfield are a regular occurrence, so common that when a student mentions the fight, other students instinctively ask, which one? My students, my colleagues, and myself do not feel safe. Throughout the school day, roving bands of students will roam the halls, making the campus their own personal playground. I'm talking dozens of students at a time. As far as I'm aware, the entire campus has 2 hall monitors, and there are 2 police officers between the 9th grade and main campuses, as far as I'm aware. Add that to 8 APs, and you have roughly 10 to a dozen adults against droves of students stretched thin across 2 campuses at the best of times. We desperately need more hall monitors and support staff. Why don't we have them? The answer is pay. Hall monitors in spring have a mid-estimate salary of $23,756. When broken down, that's roughly $1,600 a month or $10.50 an hour for a 40-hour work week. The starting hourly rate for an entry-level cashier at Target is $15 an hour. Hall monitoring solves 2 problems in one: safety and student retention and attendance. Which brings me to my final point. I've heard various conversations at Westfield that enrollment is expected to be down next year. Students of mine have told me their parents are moving them to a different school district because of safety concerns. Our budget needs to reflect our priorities. I call on the board to commit 50% of HB 100 to raise pay for critical support staff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker tonight is Salem James. Miss James, if you'll come to the podium.
Hello, nice to see you this evening. Good evening. It's my pleasure to speak to you as a teacher in the district and a member of Spring AFT. As you know, we have seen an inflation rate as high as 9% in recent months. And I, as a single mom with 4 children, two grown children finishing college and 2 more in high school with no child support, I have been struggling to support myself and contribute to still raising my children. I was blessed to have already obtained a degree in English and my lifetime teacher certificate in English in 1999, and I earned a certificate for ESL in 2016. I am also blessed to have been working for Spring ISD for 2 school years now, and also I am proud to have been acknowledged by my principal to have helped our school get a B rating this last year, as my goal at work is to help children grow and improve and succeed. But life is expensive. I personally have experienced multiple difficulties this year financially, from vandalism of my property, buying a new used car, having to pay back stipends I had previously received, and more. This year, I will be working as a tutor and hopefully in summer school to try to keep up with my financial obligations. I was thankful to have received an incentive allotment in October, and I have been appreciative for the pay and bonuses and support from Spring ISD in the past. And I know we all look forward to, and we expect the bump in pay every year to combat inflation. For me, a raise in work-life balance improvement seemed especially necessary this year. And I just want to throw in another thing that my daughter said this evening. My daughter over here, she said, you know, what was the word you used? Ratio? She said the ratio on one side, so we have inflation, but if you don't raise the ratio on the other side, then you're actually losing money. So we're just asking that you don't let us go into this situation. Anyway, we are asking that the district provide 1 free wellness days for all employees to create a culture of work-life balance that recruits and retains the best Spring ISD employees. Please support Spring and Texas AFT's efforts to pass House Bill 100 to increase basic allotment. Is my time up? No. I'm so sorry.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
I didn't get to everything. That was the most important part.
Our final speaker tonight is Ms. Cabretha Thomas. Ms. Thomas, if you'll come to the podium.
Good evening, my name is Cabretha Thomas, and I stand here with my daughter, Christiana Chavis, and I'm speaking in behalf of her and my other daughter who's at home recovering. So this particular daughter right here has a scholar who's currently getting ready to go into Westfield, and mom is terrified because of the situation there, but I have a granddaughter who's attending Momentum and is thriving. She loves the smaller class sizes, the resources, the one-on-one guidance, the self-pace, the teacher interaction to help her. The only problem with her daughter being able to attend that particular school is her work hours, and there's no transportation to get that particular granddaughter to and from school. So what we're asking is that y'all would look into maybe getting the summer school drop-off and pick-off up locations in order to provide transportation, or just some type of system in place to help people that work long hours or that's not able to drop kids off at school. And then the second thing I want to talk about is just real quick. In Thanksgiving weekend of 2018, my grandson was hit on a bicycle on Kirkendall, and with that, he was really left for dead because they didn't really provide for him. So his mom, all of us, we're just terrified, not really knowing what to do. So long story short, I told the mom, like, don't worry about school. Spring ISD has a system in place to help you. She reached out to the homebound system, and immediately they told her, you don't have to worry about your son in school. You worry about your son recovering. She didn't have to worry about him with his credits. They came out to the house and they helped her. So we're just here to say thank you for having that system in place for parents who don't have to worry in different locations. Just worry about your child getting healthy. So the accident was in 2018. He actually graduated from Westfield. No.
Yes.
Yeah, Westfield the year later. He was able to actually walk across the stage. So thank you for that system.
Thank you, Ms. Thomas.
We have no other speakers signed up for tonight.
Thank you. Thank you all of our registered speakers, Mr. Fairbanks, Ms. James, and Ms. Thomas for coming out this evening. Our next item is a public hearing for the Optional Flexible School Day Program, Momentum High School's annual renewal. At this time, I would like to recognize our Chief of Innovation, Dr. Matthew Parasol.
Thank you, President Duran. Good evening, members of the board, and all of those in our audience tonight. This item is found on page 17. We covered this and did review it on Thursday during the board work session. This is for our Momentum High School program and allows for the flexible hours where students are able to attend 3 different options. It is an item that does require a public hearing, and that is why it is on the agenda for tonight.
Thank you, Dr. Parasol. Mr. Binkley, do we have anyone registered to speak to this agenda item under public hearing?
No, Madam President, we do not.
Thank you. I'll now entertain a motion from the Board of Trustees to approve the 2023-2024 Optional Flexible School Day Program for Momentum High School.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed 2023-2024 Optional Flexible School Day Program for the Momentum High School.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Adams and seconded by Trustee Correa that the Board of Trustees approve the proposed 2023-24 Optional Flexible School Day Program for Momentum High School. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Our audience voted. For our next item, I'd like to recognize our General Counsel, Jeremy Binkley.
Good evening, trustees. Tonight we have 5 board policies to bring to you. Our first policy is DMA Local, found on page 47. The board may remember that we did discuss this. I believe it was back at the March board meeting. At that time, the board asked that this policy go back to the governance committee for further review. The governance committee did have an opportunity to meet on this policy. Specifically, DMA Local was part of TASB Update 119, and it revises policy regarding the district's professional development plan to align with recent legislation by including legislation that the district's professional development plan be guided by the SPEC clearinghouse training recommendations. At the board governance meeting, the committee did have an opportunity to review that SPEC clearinghouse, which primarily speaks to safety items, education on bullying, education on mental health awareness, and after reviewing those, it was recommended to bring the policy back without further revisions. And so I would just like to see if there are any questions regarding DMA Local. There are no questions or comments. I do believe there may be a motion.
Okay. I would like to, if we're inviting comments, we did discuss this in the governance meeting and are presenting it to you all intact.
Thank you. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy DMA Local.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee McDaniel and seconded by Trustee Newhouse that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of the proposed revision to the Board Policy DMA Local. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Binkley. Please continue.
So our next item is BDB local on page 50 regarding board internal organization and internal committees. You will notice in the policy language on page 51, it is highlighted in gray. These are local revisions that we are making, recommending as the district. These are not revisions from TASB. The Board Governance Committee brought this forward to, in an attempt to align policy with our current practice and update BDB to include 2 additional standing committees that are that are currently meeting. The first is the Community Engagement Committee and the other is the District-Wide Safety and Security Committee.
I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy BDB Local.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Newhouse and seconded by Trustee Adams that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of the proposed provisions of Board Policy BDB Local. Is there any discussion?
So this was another policy we discussed in Governance Committee, and we came to sort of a consensus in the committee that the Community Engagement Committee has extreme utility. Is something that I think going forward, inviting the community in to take part in sort of the discussion around shared decision making is a value that we want to keep in the district. So we decided to make that a standing committee. The Safety and Security Committee is mandated by statute. And so it just seemed like it was good sense to make it a standing committee.
Thank you. It's actually, as Mr. Binkley pointed out, aligns us with our best practices. I did institute that new committee for community engagement. And to your point, it's very valuable. We are a village and it takes a team. And then, of course, the other one is mandated. So is there any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Binkley. You may continue.
So up next, we have TASB Update 120. This is a it's a rather small update, as I'm sure their next one will be rather large with the legislature currently in session. Update 120 will start with the legal revisions. You'll find those on page 152 in the explanatory notes. Remember that the board does not approve legal policies. Those are included by TASB for convenience so that the relevant case law, statutory language, and regulatory language can be included near or in the same section as the district's local policies. So this is just an FYI for the board. I wanted to ask if there are any questions on the legal policy revisions. It does look like these are primarily based on some recent updates to the Texas Administrative Code, which is why we're seeing them come through at this point.
You can proceed.
Okay. Our next policy is on page 58. It is CKC Local. And if you look at page 59, CKC Local is our safety program risk management policy regarding emergency plans. And per state law, the revision adds language regarding a response. to a nearby train derailment as something that must be included in our emergency operations plan. That is in our EOP, which I believe has been approved by the, Mark, remind me which committee, the Texas School Safety Center. So we do have that in our EOP, but this revises policy to align with state law.
Thank you, Mr. Binkley. Any questions? You can continue.
Did the board
So
want to
that's
make a
one.
motion on that one?
Mm-hmm. I'll now entertain a motion for the Board of Trustees to approve the first reading of the proposed revision of Board Policy CKC Loco.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of the proposed revisions to Board Policy CKC Local.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Jensen and approved by Trustee Newhouse that the board approve the first reading of proposed revision to Board Policy CKC Loco. Any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Binkley. Please continue.
Okay, so our next policy is FNG Local on page 60. FNG is our student rights and responsibilities, and specifically it's our student and parent complaint / grievances policy. The language revisions are on page 62 of your packet. And what you're looking at here in these items, subparagraphs 7 through 15, and 1 through 6 are on the preceding page, is this is the portion of the policy that directs parents or students to other policies that are more appropriate for certain types of complaints. So FNG is an overall complaint grievance policy, but there are certain types of complaints that need to be brought through other processes first. And so this directs the parents and students to what those policies are for those specific concerns. And so the revisions here are very, very minimal. On paragraphs 9 and 10, it's basically moving the language regarding 504 and IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, to the front of those policy paragraphs to make them easier for parents and students to find as they're going through this. And so for 9 and 10, it's just basically a reorganization of that language. Item 15, subparagraph 15 on that page, is adding language for complaints concerning disputes regarding a student's eligibility for free and reduced price meal programs, and that those complaints need to start with policy COB local. And so this should just make it a lot easier for parents and students to find what they need when they come to our general complaints policy.
Thank you, Mr. Binkley. I'll now entertain a motion that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of the proposed revisions to Board Policy FNG Loco.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy FNG Local.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Adams and seconded by Trustee Correa that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of the proposed revisions of Board Policy FMG Loco. Mr. Binkley, I've never thought about it before, but it says COB. Should we say local in there?
So generally where it just says COB, it's referring them to the entire policy series.
Okay.
And so that would include COB legal, COB reg, COB local.
All of them. Okay, thank you. Any other discussion?
I just sort of, by way of educating the public, FNG Local is the policy that you find when you go to our Let's Talk link. And so we sometimes get emails from parents or members of the community wanting to raise issues and concerns and grievances. And I always try to refer them to the Let's Talk link that's right on the front page of our website. When you go to that page, FNG Local, along with several other associated policies, is listed there for reference. And so this is just updating that and making it current.
Hearing no further discussion, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Trustee McDaniels. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Binkley. Please continue.
Okay, this is our last policy. It is FO Local regarding student discipline. You'll find it on page 68, and the specific language changes are on pages 70 and 71 of your packet. The revisions here are intended to clarify circumstances when restraint may be used generally and to more prominently address restraint of a student who receives special education services. You'll remember that the green underlined and the green strike through indicates that the language is moved in its entirety to a different part of the policy. And so when you see that green highlighted language, that means the language itself is not changing. It's being shifted around within the policy. You will also see a red strike through regarding the language that restraint may be used to, quote, control an irrational student. I think that that's specifically being removed because that language is very ambiguous. And it's really trying to limit and provide a very narrow focus as to when restraint can be used and in what circumstances.
Thank you, Mr. Binkley. I will now entertain a motion from the board for the first reading of the proposed revision to policy FO Local.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading of proposed revisions to Board Policy FO Local.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Correa, seconded by Trustee Adams, that the Board of Trustees approve the first reading for the proposed revision of Board Policy FO Local. Is there any discussion?
I do have one question.
I have a question. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, when it comes to the reordering, what is the purpose? Is it supposed to show a level of importance, or what's the purpose?
So these changes are directly from TASB, and what TASB has provided is that the rearrangement of those is primarily intended to clarify the circumstances and to more prominently address. So to put the restraint of special ed students a little bit higher up in that policy. And so it does put it takes the language regarding restraint of a student who receives special education services and actually puts it right at the top of that section as a note to make that more prominent.
Thank you.
So these are recommendations from TASB's Update 120. Don't we currently have a committee in place reviewing code of conduct?
So yes, we do have a committee that is working on reviewing the student code of conduct and providing updates. We are getting feedback from students, parents, teachers, administrators. This, and I'll have to take back to Mr. Binkley, this is a change in the policy, not necessarily the handbook and the Chapter 37, which addresses the infractions and the disciplinary consequences that the students may receive.
But should it be? Do you think this should be part of that process or no?
To add to the student code
To
of
be
conduct?
reviewed in alignment with.
So this language is really specifically only about restraint of students. And while the student code of conduct may speak to that, restraint is not a disciplinary measure. Restraint is really only for very limited circumstances. And I was flipping through and I lost the page with the language.
It's okay. Actually, when you say it's specific to restraint, that's fine. I just know we have a committee reviewing our student code of conduct and everything. I just want to make sure that it's inclusive of everything, right? And that it's all aligned in that process as well. Okay. Any other?
I have one on number 4 under physical restraint. What is considered a lawful command?
So that is a creature of commissioners' decisions. So I would say case law, but it's really commissioner's decisions, and generally it is a lawful command intended to maintain the safety and security of the school environment. And so where we have seen that in commissioner decisions be considered is where a student, a teacher may need to grab a student's wrist and hold a student's arm to avoid that student going in and punching someone else. A student who is attempting to get into a restricted area that would be unsafe or inappropriate for the student to be in and refuses to comply with lawful verbal commands for an administrator or an adult to be able to physically stop them from coming to that location. It's not something that should be used very often, but it does allow that administrator to ensure the safety and security of the school building. There is also a statute in Chapter 37 of the Education Code and a statute in the Penal Code that does allow educator immunity in those situations. And so that would be why it's included here as well. It's not just a local thing. This is a statutory requirement.
So the term lawful command refers to the statute. It just feels subjective to me.
I was just thinking when you explained it, you said a lawful verbal command. Would it all be verbal?
I have not seen a situation where it was a written command. I'm trying to think of a situation where it would be. Generally, we see these in verbal commands, stop right now, come over here, put those scissors down. Student fails to do that. Stop, you can't come through here. I need you to turn around and go, back through this door. Student refuses to do that and tries to push their way through, potentially to a room that's a sensitive area for whatever reason, whether there's another student there. I agree, it's a little subjective.
So could we clarify, because it sounds like what you're saying, it involves the safety of the student or others, as opposed to just, I'm the teacher, I give a command is considered lawful. Like, how do we distinguish?
I mean, the first step is making sure it's not an unlawful command. And then we would look to see, is this disciplinary or is this truly to enforce a safety situation? And there have been times that districts and the commissioner certainly differ in their opinion of that. But this does tie directly back to state law, and that would be one area that I would say we really can't preempt state law with this. We can't come back and try to clarify what the state law is there because it is going to be a creature of legal interpretation.
So we cannot change the language lawful command.
I mean, we can certainly go back to the governance committee and take another look at it. I'm happy to dig deeper.
What do you have any suggestions for what you might change it to?
I would have to think about that, but I'm just thinking if we're talking about restraint, and I think there should be certain circumstances, it can't just be the adult gives a command and therein they are allowed to restrain. I just feel like there should be some more.
If you look at the end of that sentence, it is a lawful command given in order to restore order or to impose disciplinary measures, which again, this should not be a disciplinary piece, but I mean, if the governance committee would like to look at this or the board would like
May I
it to go back.
interject?
Yes, please.
This is the first reading, and we can ask the governance committee to bring back some additional clarity around specifically what the local policy is referring to when it says a lawful command. You agree? I see it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I feel the same as Trustee McDaniel, and in number 3 as well, from serious damage. I feel like restraint is just one of those kind of sticky areas where we have to be careful that we're not leaving things too open to interpretation, to your point, so.
Dr. Jensen?
Where are you seeing restraint? I'm seeing a command.
This is under the physical restraint section.
She's referring to physical restraint, section number 4, which is on page 71.
I see that, but I see it as a command.
Oh.
So, let's say to a boy, don't go in the girls' restroom. I guess you're restraining the boy from going in there, but it's a command. I guess I'm seeing it that way.
So if you, just for clarity, if you look at the preceding paragraph, right before the subparagraph 1 on page 70 at the very bottom, it says, within the scope of an employee's duties, a district employee may physically restrain a student if the employee reasonably believes restraint is necessary in order to, and then going to 4, remove a student refusing a lawful command of a school employee from a specific location in order to restore order or to impose disciplinary measures.
So I think ultimately the answer to your question is it's the same question to all legal questions. It depends. Really on the case law and what the commissioner says in various fact patterns that apply from restraints. So there's a list of incidents of restraints in school districts all across Texas, some of which made it through some sort of process to the commissioner's desk or one of his, I forget the term, arbitrator, what's the term for the people that?
One of his administrative
Hearing officers, yeah. And they make a determination, and so that's kind of what we think that means. It's not going to be codified in a statute any more clearly than that. It's what different people who can be subjective think it is.
We can still take it to the governance, correct?
Yeah, we can definitely take a look at that.
Yeah, let's take it to governance.
Thank you, Dr. Jensen. If you can bring some more clarity around that when it comes back for second reading. So I probably need a friendly amendment to the motion that the Board of Trustees will approve the first reading of Board Policy FO Loco with the understanding that will bring forth clarity around the term lawful command. So I'm going to ask Trustee Correa and Trustee Adams, who made that motion, if you're okay with that friendly amendment.
Yes.
Yes.
All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. That was your last item, wasn't it? Okay.
Yes, ma'am, I'm
All
done.
right. For our next item, I'd like to recognize our Chief of District Operations, Mark Miranda.
Thank you, President Durant, Superintendent Hinojosa, members of the board. I'm on page 72. This is a new item that we'll look at tonight. This is a lease agreement between the Spring Independent School District and Site Concepts, Inc. for a wireless communications facility and tower. This will be 4,900 square feet of ground space plus easement rights for access located behind Northgate Crossing Elementary School. So Site Concepts, Inc. will lease a portion of the premise as depicted on Exhibit A, which you can find on page 86. There's a map there that kind of shows you the back lot of Northgate Crossing and the small corner that the cell tower will be housed at. They'll use that to construct, operate, and maintain a wireless communications facility, including communications tower, antenna, cables, related structures, and improvements. The lease agreement will generate rent for 5 years at $1,500 a month or 25% of the gross rent, and any other revenue received by the leasee. So whichever is greater, that's what Spring ISD will receive. Additionally, and probably even more importantly than the lease agreement part of this, is that on page 10, which is page 10 of the contract, page 82 of the packet, page 82 of the packet of the contract, Spring ISD has the option to install its own telecommunications systems on the tower. And that would be used for enhancement of our safety and security radio infrastructure. Site Concepts has the means to be able to do this, and Spring ISD, through this lease agreement, will have the ability to utilize part of the tower for our own purposes. So there is a possible 6 additional 5-year extensions built into this that we would come back and have those approved as well.
Okay, that sounds like a good deal, doesn't it? Thank you, Mr. Miranda.
Welcome.
I would like to entertain a motion from the board to approve the lease agreement between Spring ISD and Site Concepts for a wireless communication facility tower.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the lease agreement between Spring ISD and Site Concepts Incorporated for wireless communications facility tower.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Adams, seconded by Trustee Newhouse, to approve the lease agreement between Spring ISD and Site Concepts for wireless communication facility towers. Is there any discussion?
I have a question. Does this, the tower and the building going up, does this create any external obsolescence in affecting the values, the tax values in the area?
Not at that location. If you look at the map, it's a very isolated location. We did determine ahead of time that there would not be a future use for that particular piece of property for Spring ISD, so we don't feel that it will impact us.
I just want to make sure that in granting this easement, we are making sure that we have fencing and security.
Absolutely, that's a part of it.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to ask how tall it will be.
It's probably in the contract. I don't know that off the top of my head. That's a good question.
I missed that.
Okay.
Okay. Any other discussion? I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Miranda. Please continue.
My next item is on page 94. This is an interlocal agreement between Spring ISD and the General Land Office to supply natural gas to Spring ISD buildings. So this is coming from our energy management team. They're bringing the interlocal agreement between the General Land Office for approval to supply Spring ISD with natural gas services for the period of 1 year, starting June 1st, 2023, with the option to renew on an annual basis unless canceled by Spring ISD. So the rate with the General Land Office, which is a Texas state agency, will be the first month of Houston Ship Channel Index. So basically it's a standard benchmark index plus. And you may recall that we did similar things when we brought gas forward for our vehicles. This is a 36 cents above the standard benchmark index, plus a couple of cents for contract services. So this is 36 cents total above the standard benchmark index. And this agreement will replace the current contract with Symmetry Energy Solutions, which was formerly CenterPoint Energy Services. That contract expires May 31st. This contract will replace that.
What was that? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Miranda. I'll now entertain a motion to review the interlocal agreement for the Spring ISD General Land Office to supply natural gas to our buildings.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the interlocal agreement between Spring ISD and the General Land Office to supply natural gas to Spring ISD buildings.
Second.
Been moved by trustee McDaniels and seconded by trustee Newhouse to approve the interlocal agreement between Spring ISD and General Land Office Supply Natural Gas to Spring ISD buildings. Are there any discussion?
I'm just curious about how much inflation we're experiencing here. Somebody just talked about how things cost 9% more. What's the delta between what we paid in the last contract and what we're paying this contract?
The last contract was with Symmetry, which was formerly Centerpoint Energy. The last contract was 37 cents above index. This one is 36 cents. The biggest difference between the two contracts is within the contract, and you can see it embedded. There's a schedule for expected monthly gas consumption. The last contract, the contract that we have with Symmetry that's expiring, did not have favorable terms for Spring ISD related to our expected monthly gas consumption. This contract has better terms. If we're out of alignment with those terms, like in the last contract, we receive a penalty, and that ends up being additional cost. So this contract has better terms. We have really kind of narrowed in on our actual gas consumption, which will eliminate some of the penalties. Also, because this is an interlocal agreement with the General Land Office, there are different incentives for a state agency than for a for-profit sometimes, and so we believe this is a much better contract for Spring ISD. We also have the ability later on in the contract to come back and fix a rate if we find the market to be favorable. We'll have the ability to come back and do that, which will lock us in at a better rate.
That was one of my next questions, because you said it'll be an automatic renewal unless we cancel.
Yes.
So that rate will not increase on us?
No. In fact, we would expect, if we have the ability to be able to lock in a good rate once the market's at a good place, that's kind of where we're looking at being able to do that. In our energy management department, and we do have an energy consultant as well who helps us on this, we'll be looking at that on a regular basis.
Chief, just really quick, can you give, off the top of your head, if you know it, if not later, the provision in the contract where it says that?
Which part?
Which provision?
The fixed rate?
Yes.
You're talking about? I'm looking at, so I have our energy manager here who may know it off the top of his head, and I also have our consultant.
If not, you can tell me later.
Okay. He says page 12 of the contract.
Which is page 99 in our book.
Okay. My those numbers must be off.
That's 3.04.
99 or what?
Is that right?
If you look at the bottom right hand, it should say page 99 of 419.
I found it.
Okay.
It's page 12 of the contract.
So along those lines, do we have any concerns where it talks about the contract will be extended if requisite funding is appropriated by the Texas legislature for the GLO?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the
I'm sorry.
question.
What section are you?
On the very on page 1 of the contract,
Huh?
it says in the middle, however, the contract shall be extended for each subsequent biennium if the requisite funding is appropriated by the Texas legislature for the GLO and receiving agency. So do we have any concerns around that, considering some of the instability with GLO?
I don't believe we do. I'm going to ask Michael and our consultant, our energy consultant, to go ahead and come up. If there's a mic, would you guys come up to the mic, please?
So as they come up, I do believe that's a standard non-appropriation clause that we have to include in our contracts as well. As a state agency or a political subdivision, we're required to have that type of language in because, for example, this board cannot encumber future boards. And so we do have to have a non-appropriation clause, and I anticipate the GLO does as well as a state agency. But now that they're to the mic, I will let them have the mic.
Let me introduce them first. So, Michael, would you please raise your hand? This is Michael Melville. He is our energy manager. He works for us, Spring ISD. And then next to him is Robert. Petoskey. He is our energy consultant. He works for AEG, and they can give us a little more detail. I think that Jeremy probably answered the question, but if you guys...
Yeah, we also work with several other districts on their gas, from Cy-Fair to Katy to probably 25 others. This is, in our view, standard language. We don't have any concerns on it. It is, as Mr. Binkley said, fairly standard language. It's the GLO as well, so they're a reputable gas provider. They've had a strong history of providing gas under reasonable terms and limited lesser pass-throughs versus your agreement with Symmetry. So in our view, this contract will be substantially cheaper. It will have a 12-month term, and if you don't like it, you won't have to renew. You won't be bound. You'll have the right to go. In Exhibit A, which is page 13, mentions a little bit of that lock price. It's not labeled page 13, but it's labeled page 1 of 2, which is effectively page 13. The very top of Exhibit A is where you'll see the lock language. But Exhibit A is very clear that it's a 12-month term.
Thank you. How often does this go out to bid for renewal, and how do we advertise that, Mr. Miranda?
So this particular one is not necessarily out for bid because the Symmetry contract was running renewals.
Okay.
We knew the Symmetry contract was going to be up at the end of the month, and Michael has been working with our consultant to find better terms. And so that's where this one came about. And going with the interlocal agreement, again, is a little bit different than going with a different provider.
Thank you.
Sorry. Oh, I didn't realize my mic was on, but I do still have one more question. Sure. On that Exhibit A, where it talks about the swing gas price, how closely are we going to be monitoring our intake, I guess, if I'm reading this correctly?
Which page?
107?
Yes, so we'll be monitoring that very closely, and we'll have the right to adjust quantities if the quantities are set forth in Exhibit B. We'll have the right to adjust those quantities as well if we need to revise them later. As an example, under your present agreement with Symmetry, the district was hit with probably $120,000 of pass-through charges because of what Symmetry did on these penalties. The GLO did not implement any charges at all to its clients under that same provision. So not only will we have more freedom to monitor those quantities and adjust them as needed, the GLO has a much better reputation and a much better track record of, even if you do make a mistake and the quantities deviate, not using these provisions in the Exhibit A. That's one of the reasons.
And are those live, real-time adjustments, or is it a set rate, like per month? Like how flexible is the adjustment for that?
I'm sorry, could you?
How flexible is the timing to be able to make those adjustments? Are they real-time, or is it a set rate that we have to?
No, it's thankfully done on a monthly basis. So if you go up one day and you're down the next day, it will even out for the month. So you don't have to get it right every day. It's a monthly quantity. So yeah, you obviously have to tell them before the month at issue. But yeah, there's provisions for flexibility. And as Mr. Miranda said, the district's reduced the gas usage substantially over the past couple of periods, and so these quantities are also just much more favorable overall. So not only will there be savings from a lower rate and lower pass-through charges, there will also be savings just from outright less usage. And those projections on the usage and the efficiency are baked into the quantities set forth on Exhibit B.
Trustee Newhouse, did you have a question? Your mic's on. Okay. All right. No further questions. Well, I'll go ahead and call for a vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Miranda. You can continue.
Yes, I'm going to move to page 118. 118 is the job order contracts. We did get a chance to discuss this last Thursday. This is approval of the yearly master job order contracts for Spring ISD with the 11 listed job order contract vendors through various co-op partners. We have separated these into 11 different individual motions so that we can make sure that we get all the proper votes in. So the very first motion, if we go in order, would be for AD2 construction services.
President Durant, I'm going to
Abstain?
abstain from voting on all the choice partners contracts.
We have discussed all of these contracts. I'm proposing that maybe can we do one motion for all the choice partners? Yeah. So I'd like to entertain a motion to approve all of the district-wide projects listed 1 through 8 with choice partners and Spring ISD. So is there someone that can make that motion? Or have I confused everybody? Okay. I'd like to do them all in one motion instead of sitting here doing 11 different motions.
Madam
I'm going to
President.
take the choice partners ones lumped together because Trustee Adams is abstaining.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the master job contracts with all of the listed choice partners.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Newhouse and seconded by Trustee McDaniels that the Board of Trustees approve the master job contracts between Spring ISD and choice partners. Is there any discussion on those contracts? We have seen them. We talked about them a little bit on Thursday. Any additional questions or comments? And I said Trustee Adams was abstaining, but he's recusing himself from this vote. Okay. Not seeing any, I'll go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. That motion carries 5-4 with 1 abstention. Thank you. Now I'll approve a motion for the Jamil and Smith Construction LLP. I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the master job order contract with Jamel and Smith Construction LLP.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Correa and seconded by Trustee Adams that the Board of Trustees approve the master contract between Spring ISD and Smale and Smith Construction LLP. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. I'll now entertain a motion for the Parson Roofing master contract.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the master job order contract with Parsons Roofing.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Adams and seconded by Trustee McDaniel that the Board of Trustees approve the master contract job order between Parsons Roofing and Spring ISD. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. I'll now entertain a motion for the to Unify Energy Solution LLC.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve the master job order contract with Unified Energy Solutions LLC.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee McDaniels, seconded by Trustee Correa, that the Board of Trustees approve the master job contract between Unified Energy Solutions LLC and Spring ISD. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, board members, and thank you, Mr. Miranda.
Thank you.
I had a follow-up question.
Sure.
Back on the gas contract. Do we need to have any concerns about price protection for weather-related events?
Looking to my guys to make sure I'm getting it right. So weather-related events and price protection was the question. And Mujib, would you hold the microphone up closer to them so we can hear them a little bit better?
Oh.
Or somebody?
Yes, that's,
No,
that's
is
a
it-
great question.
there you go.
That's a great question. That's one of the benefits of this.
Little higher.
Yeah, that's a great question. That's one of the benefits of this new agreement is it will be easier to do rate locks. In fact, as an example, Humboldt ISD is with GLO. We just use this exact contract and same language to lock in a percentage of its expected consumption at a fixed rate to give that price protection. So this will be an easier rate lock process with this contract. Great question. We agree with the need for price protection.
Give me just 1 second here, because we went a little bit out of order. We are now ready for our next item, correct? Okay. Our next item is update from the individual board committees. And so our first committee is the Board Audit Committee, and I'll ask Trustee Newhouse to provide an update on any recent activity.
Thank you. I was trying to get to my page here. The audit committee had a chance to meet, and during our meeting, we reviewed the survey that was presented to us and approved. That survey has been put in a consent, I'm sorry, not a consent, has been put in a binder for a presentation to the board in a closed session. And we have approved all of the audits that was done at the various schools. And I applaud Ms. Rios because she went through all of our elementary, middle, and secondary high school schools to evaluate the bookkeeping at each one of those. And we received excellent reports and that was given to us for the schools doing an outstanding job in handling the finance at their schools. So thank you, everyone, for completing your survey for us. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Ms. Newhouse? Our next committee is the Governance Committee, and I'll turn it over to Dr. Jensen to provide any updates of recent activities.
Thank you, President Durant. As we previously mentioned, we have been discussing the current policy updates that we looked at tonight. Also, I brought forward the idea that perhaps we should fulfill Lone Star Governance recommendations and provide a best practices guidelines for our trustees. And the Governance Committee is willing to do that. We also looked at the first iteration of advocacy items for posting on the Spring ISD website. I will tell you that the legislative activity is really fast and furious right now, and there's no way we're going to, just the committee is going to keep up with this. Dr. Hinojosa, I know Chief Westbrooks, people bring up things that they know that are going on, and we really appreciate that we have a team effort here. We are finishing up the last Employee Excellence Awards this year, and as usual, I think every person nominated this year really deserves an award, but we can only give so many out. So kudos to those people who had sometimes parents, fellow teachers, all kinds of people who observed that some teacher just did, or other employee went out of their way and did a wonderful job in Spring ISD. Another thing I am pushing for is to relook at our vision and mission statements. I think they need to be shorter and have more punch. So we'll look at them. People may not agree with that, but I do think that we could do better in that area. And finally, we're looking at other school districts and how they work with the superintendent on line of sight of executive level hiring. And so Dr. Enos is part of our committee, and we're working with her to come up with a, we may not make no changes at all, but we want to look at this. And that concludes my report.
Can I add?
Yes.
In the area of advocacy, I had the opportunity last month to travel to Austin with Raise Your Hand Texas, who has been a strong advocacy partner with our district. They saved a spot for Spring ISD, and one of their campaign is Measure What Matters, and they were focused on, as Dr. Parasol shared last week at our work session, looking at a more holistic approach to our state accountability system. And so HB 4402 is one of the bills that adds more indicators to the accountability system, and it actually passed pretty overwhelmingly yesterday in the House. So just encouraging everybody to continue to follow what's happening, just as Trustee Jensen mentioned, with what's happening in the legislature, continuing to call and email, share information with family and friends as the legislative session continues.
And if I could piggyback on that just a little bit, it's passed in the House. It still has to go across the chamber to the Senate. And so anybody who's interested in making some phone calls to our senators, it'd be Paul Bettencourt and several other folks, to put the pressure on to make sure that makes it out of the committee in the Senate and gets to the floor in the Senate and gets an up or down vote. That would be really helpful.
Thank you. I'd like to applaud our governance committee as well as this board. I don't know if the community is aware at the amount of time and effort that we have put into advocating for our community and our students here in Spring ISD. Current legislators have a lot of bills and policy in place that impacts our children and our staff. And I want to applaud this board for being so engaged and partnering with other boards as well as other organizations to speak up, speak loud, and make sure that our elected officials are advocating and making decisions that are best for our kids here in Spring ISD. So I just want to say thank you to that committee. I also like to take the recommendation for reviewing the vision and the mission statement into an agenda for the entire board, and perhaps we can pull that, Dr. Hinojosa, into our upcoming workshop. Okay, thank you. Our next committee is our Equity Committee, and I'll ask Trustee Adams to provide an update of any recent activity.
Thank you, President Durant. So we met recently and previewed the work of the district's cross-functional budget committee. It's a group of principals, department heads, members of the senior leadership team that are working to identify areas where we can do budget cuts, necessary budget cuts as we approach the ESSER fiscal cliff. And so that group got together, and their goal was to identify $15 million in cuts. They managed to get to $11.7 million in cuts. And in the Equity Committee, we really sort of looked at that through an equity lens and interrogated the process a little bit, and that process continues. The other thing that happened during that meeting is I sort of introduced the administration team members some of the work of Dr. Marguerite Rosa, who runs the Georgetown Edunomics Lab, which really, Dr. Rosa has really focused in on this ESSER cliff and what districts will have to do in order to equitably make necessary cuts. Like, there isn't really a way around these cuts. And so we will continue that work, provided some tools that me and Carmen and Natasha have picked up in some of our professional development to Dr. Hinojosa and her team for their use as they do this very difficult work. Anybody want to add anything?
Trustee Adams, can you confirm for me that it was Margaret, I didn't catch the last name.
Marguerite Rosa.
Rosa, and that information has been shared with the whole body?
I will certainly send it. I think I've sent it to
I think you did, didn't you? Okay, all right. That's why I asked you to confirm. So if everyone has not had an opportunity to review that email from Trustee Adams, if you can do so and provide that committee with any of your comments and feedback. All right. Thank you. Our next committee is our Board Community Engagement Committee, led by Trustee Kelly P. Hodges, who is actually online with us, but she did provide me with her committee update earlier in the week. So the Community Engagement Committee has compiled the feedback from the Table Talks and Building Bridges events that we hosted. The summary will be posted to the Spring ISD website. You will see the strides that have been made in the first 30 and 60 days after the outreach events and the plans for the next 90 days. Thank you to all of the staff, teachers, and community members who provided feedback. And a special thank you to Ms. Trinita Carroll and Mr. Strubart for assisting with compiling all of that data. Thank you for your support. This is only the beginning. Change is here and now in Spring ISD. Trustee Hodges, any questions or comments from the other two committee members? Okay, thank you everybody for your updates. Our next item is our consent agenda. I will now entertain a motion to approve and adopt the items that were listed on the consent agenda from our Thursday work session.
Madam President, I move that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee McDaniel and seconded by Trustee Adams that the Board of Trustees approve and adopt all of the items listed on the consent agenda. Is there any discussion?
Dr. Hinojosa, could you refresh me just a little, because that was a long night and a late meeting. I think there's some tax rebate stuff. Just trying to remember everything that was on there.
And you're asking me? No. It was a very.
It was a late night for you too.
It was
yeah.
a very late meeting, and I think the biggest piece was from our CFO. We had tax rebates. We had several RFPs for supplies, the co-ops. That was the big chunk. And then, of course, we just had two presentations at the beginning. We're not approving those, but the bulk of the meeting was the two presentations and then the CFO's report.
Thank you, Dr. Hinojosa. I'm refreshed.
What page is that, Trustee Correa?
This is the other binder.
Okay.
It was page 6 of last week's binder.
Thank you, Jason. It's in the about other binder. All right. Is there any additional discussion? And I'll entertain a motion. I'll call for the vote without any further discussion. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. And motion carries unanimously. So the Board of Trustees will now recess this open session and convene in a closed meeting in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act, Section 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, 551.076, and 551.0821. No voting will take place in the closed meeting. Any action the board wishes to take as a result of the discussion in our closed meeting will take place after the board reconvenes in open session. The time is now 9:39 p.m. We convene the regular board meeting of the Spring ISD Board of Trustees, and the time is now 12:04 a.m. Are there any motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to terminate at the end of the contract term the probationary contracts of Alicia Reed and Gary Scales as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Your second?
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Adams and seconded by Trustee Carrera that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to term at the end of the contract term probationary contracts of Alicia Reed and Gary Scales as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impending employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move that the
Can we
board...
pause a moment? They are all lumped together. Yeah. We need to do these separate. We need a different motion. We need a separate motion for each name.
Well, can it be all together and then just take on?
No, because I'm not voting for another one. So we need to do them separately. Mm-hmm. 6 times, so let's get going. Who wants to go first?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to propose the non-renewal of the term contract of the following employee, Terrence Boggs, as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employee pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Second.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Jensen and seconded by Trustee Newhouse that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation of the proposed non-renewal of term contracts for Terrence Boggs as presented in closed session in accordance with Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your right hand. Anyone opposed? Any abstentions or recusions? Okay, that is 5, 4, and 1 recused. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to propose the non-renewal of the term contracts of the following employee, Thomas Clay, as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employee pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Correa and seconded by Trustee Adams that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to propose the non-renewal of the term contract for Thomas Clay as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice to the board's action to the impacted employees pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Is there any discussions? I'd like to make a friendly amendment to that motion to Mr. Adams and Trustee Correa to add Gregory Johnson, Sharika Lynn Johnson, and Starlisha Johnson to that motion. Starlisha Nelson to that motion.
Agreed.
Agreed, okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Can I get a motion on the final contract?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to propose the non-renewal of the term contract of the following employee, Hannibal Trent, as presented in closed session, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employee pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee Adams and seconded by Trustee Correa that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation for the proposed non-renewal of the term contract of Hannibal Trent as presented in closed session, and authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employee pursuant to Chapter 21 of the Texas Education Code. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? That's 4 and 2 opposed. The motion carries. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation that the board take no action to renew or non-renew the contracts for District of Innovation aspiring teachers, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee McDaniels and seconded by Trustee Carrera that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation that the board takes no action to renew or non-renew the contracts of the District of Innovation aspiring teachers, and to authorize the superintendent or designee to provide notice of the board's action to the impacted employees. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Are there any more motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to renew for a one-year period the probationary contracts of the employees identified in the superintendent's recommendation as presented in closed session.
Second.
It's been moved by Trustee McDaniels and seconded by Trustee Newhouse that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to renew for a one-year period the probationary contract of the employees identified in the superintendent's recommendation as presented in closed session. Is there any discussion?
And Madam President, just to let the team know that you do have a one-pager where Ms. Westbrooks has provided the total number of administrators, teachers, and the recommendations that we have. So you have the total numbers here that you will be voting on tonight, and we will, at our superintendent's board updates, we'll provide you the historical data so you have line of sight. But these are the numbers that that you will be voting on tonight.
Thank you. Any other discussion or question? You all ready for the vote? Okay. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to renew for a one-year period the term contracts of the employees identified in the superintendent's recommendation as presented in closed session.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Newhouse and seconded by trustee Correa that the board approve the superintendent's recommendation to renew for a one-year period the term contracts of the employees identified in the superintendent's recommendation as presented in closed session. Is there any discussion? We also have received a copy of that as well. Call for the vote. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions?
Madam President, I move that the board approve the superintendent's evaluation as discussed in closed session.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Correa and seconded by trustee Adams that the board approve the superintendent's evaluation as discussed in closed session. Any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Madam President, I move we adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved by trustee Adams and seconded by trustee Newhouse that the Board of Trustees adjourn tonight's meeting. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. That motion carries unanimously. Tonight's meeting adjourns at 12:14 a.m.